part 2 of forge welding in a gas forge, we're going to focus more on what to look for in the forge and at the anvil as we weld on and shape the poker end. For the poker end, we're going to change stock size to 3/4 by 1/4. We're going to lay off 1 inch of that on the near side edge of the anvil, draw it down to about 3/8 square. Go to the offside edge, lay off about 1 inch and draw that down to about 3/8 square, feathering it back to parent stock over 2–2.5 inches or so. Cut the piece from the bar. Let's see this done hot before we move on. Lay off about 1 inch from the near side edge, draw that down to about 5/16, and feed off about 1 inch over the offside edge, take that down to about 5/16 square just behind the tab, and then taper it over 2 inches back to parent stock width. Then cut that bit from the bar. Draw down the tapered section till it's all about 3/8 of an inch. Now you get to mix and match. We're going to draw out that tab at the vise with a fuller, and then we're going to go to the anvil and dress the upset that we just made. So it's vise anvil, until you've got something that's a tapered end for about 1 inch, inch and a bit. Let's take a look at this and see what it looks like done hot. I'm using a 1/2 inch fuller here to draw out the tab. Both the fuller and my rounding hammer come from Jonathan Lambert, Blacksmithing.com. I'll give you the feed a little later. So now it's mix and match. Draw out at the vise, go to the anvil and dress it. Draw out at the vise, go to the anvil and dress it until the spur for your poker end is complete. Once the spur is roughed out, now it's time to weld that assembly onto your shaft. I've cut off about 10 inches below the basket handle, not including the basket handle, 10 inches below the basket handle, and I weld the two pieces together. You can see I'm using both the heel and the toe of the hammer to blend in the various scarves. You'll notice that the weld area looks wet. It must look wet to weld. Dry and crusty, brush it, reflux, try again. At this stage, it's draw out a nice gradual taper from the poker end up to your basket handle. I chamfer the corners because I think it looks better. Once you've got your shaft drawn out nicely, it's time to turn your attention back to the poker end. You need to draw out the end slightly and then put a little shape on it. I think it's easier to watch the video rather than me try to give you an explanation of what's going on. I like an S-curve to the poker end and a slight backward curve to the spur. Once you've got those done, it's time to turn your attention to the basket handle. I'm going to conclude the video here as my previous video posted on doing the basket handle. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you at the next one. Here are the contact details for Jonathan Lambert, Lambert Blacksmithing.